Unfortunately, Lee is home with the COVID, he and his wife. So I'm Greg Greenwald, so I am the vice chair, so I'll be the person you can throw things at. So I'm the guy this evening to yell at. And we appreciate again everybody showing up. And this is the first public workshop scheduled for the Hardy County Planning Commission. And I'm going to turn it over to Melissa.
Yes. I'm going to try to share my screen here. None of us are very experienced with this. We have no IT person or tech person here at the county, so I have learned a lot of this today. so bear with us, but I hope we're going to be able to move forward here. Just
I'm missing somebody.
Right. So I have previously recorded this presentation because I wasn't sure how this was going to go, and I know there's going to be people that wants to watch this presentation and the entire meeting later. So I am going to turn on the presentation right now. I thank you all for being here. I'm Melissa Scott, the Hardy County Planner, and I'll apologize in advance for some of the odd audio on this video that I'm going to play for you, but I think you'll be able to hear it just fine. Can you all hear that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good.
No.
I can't hear anything yet.
Okay.
I can't hear anything.
Okay.
I can't either.
Right. Let's see.
Nor can I. This is Mally, but I'm also on the phone, not on the video. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if that may make a difference, Melissa.
Okay. Let's turn on these microphones here, Greg.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a shot again. I don't think it's coming through.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry about this. Let's see. Got some other people waiting in the lobby here. All right. I'm not sure. Yes. Hello, everyone. I don't know why it's coming. Where is the sound coming out of, Greg? Can you tell?
I think the sound's coming out of the speakers on the screen.
Okay. I'm going to go in here and see if I can change the our.
Yep.
Who's it come from before? The sound.
The sound should be coming. It should be like coming through the Microsoft Teams.
Because I heard it better that time.
You did?
Yes. Did you?
Hang with us, everyone. We're trying this nice new technology.
Yes.
Where is a teenager when you need one?
Right. All right. I'm going to try this one more time.
Those of you who are with us virtually live today.
Can you all see and hear the presentation?
Thank you so much for taking the time and effort.
Yeah, we got you, ma'am.
I can hear it. Needs to be a little louder if it
Yeah.
can be.
And also thank you for taking the time to participate.
Okay, hold on one second.
Submit those comments to us through email if you like. So tonight, we're going to explore what is a comprehensive plan, what's included in the plan, why update it, and then we're going to walk through the update process. When we're done with that, we're going to review the exercise sheets that you have submitted. And I think we have enough time that we can probably just let everyone speak for themselves on that instead of me going through and trying to interpret what your answers were. My explanation of the update process is going to include a lot of data, and I hope you'll find it interesting, if nothing else. In the original format of this meeting, you would have seen this information prior to completing your exercises, so it would probably have been a little more useful, but hopefully it will still be useful in our discussion. So, talk a little bit more about that. The update process. When we talk about this, I think it's really important for us to look at where we have come from, where we are now, and where we want to go. I'm going to present a wealth of information in this presentation, and I apologize for how much, but I really think it's important. Much of it I have gathered and updated over the last 8 years. Some of it is new. Most of that is data that I've gathered, statistics and things like that, and the survey results of the community survey thus far. We want this plan to be data-driven, and so I really wanted to share with you the data that we're going to be using to draft our policies. Like I said, I'm going to be going through a lot of information and maps and things like that. So just remember that you'll be able to access this presentation online after the meeting, so you can always take more time to study the information. And remember, if you do that after the fact, you can always still submit comments to us. So what exactly is a comprehensive plan? It's a policy document that guides the future of land use and development in a community. It's designed by those citizens, businesses, and industry stakeholders who choose to be involved in the process. It sets the guidelines for regulatory documents and priorities, and it documents the development goals and objectives of the community for the next 10 to 20 years. It also lists and tracks strategies that outline specific actions to be taken to help the community meet those goals. It's officially adopted by the Planning Commission and County Commission as policy after the public hearing. So, what's in this plan? The elements to be included in the plan are fairly standard and will include several chapters. Each of these main topics will be addressed as a separate chapter, except the vision and goals. The vision will be probably included in the introduction, and then there will be goals for each of these topics: jobs and economy, quality of life, transportation and mobility, housing, infrastructure, environment and recreation, education and governance, agriculture and rural life, and of course, land use. The history and demographics will just be presented as profile sheets that will give information for each of these topics, and maybe mixed throughout the plan. And in the end, there will be a chapter that will address the implementation of the plan. It will have the strategies that we'll be using and hopefully the timeline of how, what the priority is for each of those strategies. I should note that this design of the plan may change slightly if our public input processes brings to light other topics that we haven't considered. So, why update the plan? The natural and built environment changes, local vision and priorities change, strategies have to change to remain relevant, and it's legally required as per West Virginia State Code 8A 3-1. To quote from the state code, a comprehensive plan guides the Planning Commission in the performance of its duties to help achieve sound planning. And I should also note that one of the most important things to say is that without a comprehensive plan, a county cannot legally adopt and enforce most land use regulations. The regulatory documents, ordinances, codes, etc., must reflect the policies set forth in the comp plan. Universally, comp plans are required every 10 to 20 years, and a plan should be reviewed every 5 years. And at that time, it can be revised before the 10-year update. if it's necessary to address specific issues that change in the community. So, about the process. This process will include assessing the needs of the community, reviewing data, ordinances, and other plans in the county. We'll have public input workshops and surveys. We'll be establishing the vision and goals based on that input. Then I will draft plan chapters and the land use map. We'll craft implementation strategies. And when this is all done, we'll have public review and refinement at the open house, and then there will be public hearings for the adoption. Establishing vision and goals is probably the main thing that requires input from the public. Once drafted, each of the chapters of this plan will receive considerable review from the Planning Commission, which will be discussed at each meeting monthly. And then when the full draft is done, that's when it'll be released to the public, and you can make comments at the open house. And as I said again, there's 2 public hearings after that, the Planning Commission and then the County Commission. So public input is a very important part of this process. Local land use planning is actually one of the few government institutions that seek such extensive public feedback before drafting policies that will influence regulation. There have been and there will continue to be many opportunities to be involved in this process. There's the stakeholder meetings, which we've already done. This is workshop number 1. We have the online survey that is open now. It's been open since July and will be open through October. We will do workshop number 2 hopefully in October, depending on the COVID restrictions. And then we'll have an open house where you review the final plan, and we'll go through the Planning Commission public hearings and the County Commission public hearings. We want thoughtful and constructive input, so I really hope that you'll have open minds about views that may conflict with your own. Please strive to consider the future of the community, including the health, environment, and the economy. I just want to add that the public hearings, as you can see, come at the end of this process. This is not really the time to bring up large issues that you may want to be included in the plan. The reason for so many opportunities throughout this process is to give the staff the information needed to draft a plan that is amenable to all parties. This is a completely transparent process for the boards and the public, so please be engaged and provide feedback early in the process. I thank you all for being involved in this and actually doing that. The public hearings are not the time to really bring new issues to the table. It's the time to comment on decisions that have been made by the Planning Commission and County Commission, and it's time to propose suggestions for minor revisions. So if you want to have any information considered for the actual drafting of the plan, now is the time to do it. And again, thank you all for participating in that. So workshop number 1, purpose is to gather ideas to be used in the drafting of goals and strategies that will support a healthy economy while protecting the assets this community holds dear, which is their natural beauty and rural culture. The next workshop will focus on how we can improve the quality of life in the county in ways that will support the growth and preservation that's desired. So, why be involved? How does this really affect me? The public input will drive the overall vision and goals for each topic or chapter, as we mentioned earlier. And those goals will guide the revision of the future land use map. These will, after adoption, act as the framework for the local land use regulation and ordinances. Those local regulations will sometime or other affect probably every citizen or business of Hardy County. Most people pay no attention to all this whole process until something happens that directly affects them. Something like what's shown in this picture here, where the roller coaster is built directly behind someone's house here. So what exactly is land use regulation? Well, first of all, let's talk about what it's not. Land use regulation is not about prohibiting uses. It's about setting standards for development and directing it to areas that are appropriate to their location based on infrastructure, physical limitations, aesthetic, sometimes called form, and compatibility with adjacent uses. So some people ask, why do we have to dictate this? Well, because history has shown over and over again that no standards, people will make poor decisions. Decisions will be made based on cost and not the impact to others or the environment. So regulations force everyone to consider the priorities set by the locality. And this is done through land use regulations. The majority of our respondents in this public outreach campaign and those in the past agree that not all development is appropriate in all locations. And without some regulation, the uncertainty that landowners feel reduces their security and satisfaction, which in turn lowers the demand and the property values. This is kind of a sidebar, but I really wanted to make sure you understand the difference in the comp plan and the actual ordinance regulations. Hardy County's primary planning regulation is enforced through the zoning and subdivision ordinances. We also have a floodplain ordinance that's not listed here that is actually required by FEMA in order for our community to qualify for flood insurance subsidies and disaster aid. But the zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance are the main planning land use regulations. Zoning ordinance regulates the use of land and structures, size, height, area, location, such things as setbacks. It ensures light and air, conveniences and safety. It facilitates public services and amenities and protects from destruction and obstruction, encroachment and congestion, dangers and adverse impacts. The subdivision ordinance is actually designed to regulate land division, the number and size of subdivisions that you're doing for a parcel, development standards. It ensures development completion in some areas and provides standards for adequate streets and right-of-ways, utilities, services, drainage, and ultimately it just protects from unsound investment. So the comprehensive plan, again, is a policy document, not a regulatory ordinance like the zoning and subdivision. And this comp plan sets visions and goals that guide these regulations. So now let's get back to the comp plan as opposed to regulation. So as is evident from what we've said so far, this is a very complex government process. It's designed to protect citizens and their investment. We know the issues, the complaints and opportunities we've been hearing for years, but we need thoughtful input from you to help solve those problems. We will attempt to balance property rights with sufficient policy to support effective regulation where it's needed. This plan is not drafted around a single focus, but is rather a comprehensive evaluation and problem-solving exercise for our community. The county cannot regulate what is not in the ordinance. So part of the problem-solving process is to include discussion of issues in this plan so they can be sufficiently addressed when we do the regulations. So when doing comp plan and providing input, there are three big questions. Where did we come from? Where are we now? And where do we want to go? Judging from some of the responses I'm seeing in public input so far, I really don't think some people know the answer to these questions. So that's why I decided it was necessary to subject you all to kind of an educational review of our past and present planning conditions so you can be more educated in your responses for your input. I believe considering the data, it's important to providing thoughtful and useful input. So let's take a look. Where do we come from? Let's first look at where we came from a land use regulation perspective. Hardy County has perhaps more experience with planning than pretty much any other county in West Virginia. The citizens here have pretty much come to expect and even respect land use planning, believe it or not. There are only about 5 counties. There may be a few more now in West Virginia that have countywide zoning regulation. And Hardy County is probably the most rural county in the state with these regulations. So we've had planning regulations since 1966 with the creation of the Hardy County Planning Commission. In 73, they adopted the first zoning ordinance. In 85, there was the adoption of the first floodplain ordinance. I want to go back and say in the 1970s, the WVU Extension Office was promoting planning as a means to protect agriculture and maintain local control of the communities, which I think is right on. But the state of West Virginia has never fully supported local land use control, possibly due to the prominence of extractive industry that has traditionally been able to go to state government and ask to do whatever they please, and locals really don't have a lot of say in that. So the lack of state guidance and support makes maintaining local planning difficult, but the citizens of Hardy County have thought planning was important enough through the years to support it. In 1992, when a judge threw out the zoning ordinance in Hardy County because of the lack of the current comprehensive plan, the citizens worked together and were able to write the plans themselves. These were all written by volunteer citizens from 92 until probably the early 2000s. I guess the one good thing about this is it makes the Planning Commission more thankful that they have Nicole and I today. But the planning goals of Hardy County have really never been heavy-handed, and I don't think that's where they're headed right now. The goal is simply to minimize and mitigate impacts and protect the way of life and the community values here. The decades of zoning regulation is arguably one of the primary reasons Hardy County has maintained its natural beauty that we are still known for today. Probably one of the most beautiful counties in the state. I completely agree that even though I'm from Greenbrier County, Hardy County is really a beautiful place. So in 1999, there was a new comp plan adopted. Finally, they could legally adopt a new zoning ordinance, which they did in 2005. And like I said, that was done by the local volunteers. The subdivision ordinance was then reviewed and updated. That was due to some state code changes. In 2011, a new comprehensive was written and adopted. We did some revisions to that in 2016. They were adopted, and here we are today in 2021 with the new 10-year comprehensive plan update underway. So where do we come from a jobs and development perspective? I think communities, like people, have different personalities, and this community is one of the most innovative and self-sufficient that I've ever been in, worked in, for sure. People are very modest about their achievements, however. When this community sees a need, they come together and do what needs to be done to meet that need. They really care about the land, the culture, and the people in their community. Listed below here are many of the innovative solutions and businesses that illustrate the accomplishments of the Hardy Countyans over the years. I'm not going to take the time to go through this list one by one, but I hope you'll notice that the co-op model has worked really well for this small rural community. It fits their personality and their priorities. Also want to point out the Potomac Valley Transit Authority, and they are really making strides in service for a rural area. I think they really need to be recognized for their efforts, as does HardyNet. This is a real asset to the community and really adds to the property values and the demand for the properties here, that high-speed internet that's available so widely in our county. So now let's look a little bit at where we are now. Where are we from a jobs and economy perspective? Well, Hardy County is primarily an agricultural and manufacturing community. Many farm part-time, so they also work manufacturing jobs, which often suits their skills as well as the demands of farming hours. Let's look a little bit at the statistics here. Manufacturing is, produces the highest wages in the county, then government, trade, transportation, utilities, education, and health services. But let's look down here at the market value of ag products sold in Hardy County, $190 million, actually $190 million and a half. And this is from the farm stats from the USDA 2017 Ag Census. This also says that poultry and livestock in the county, in the state, Hardy County is the #1 producer, and they're #5 in crop producing. We have a pretty high labor force participation rate. We have 266 total employers. Pilgrim's Pride and Woodmark, American Woodmark, are the top 2 job producers in the county. We do have decent average earnings, as it's just a little bit lower than the U.S. average. The one thing is that we have the #1 ranking in West Virginia for employment volatility. And this comes along with farming and with the manufacturing jobs that go along with that. It's just kind of part of the territory on that. I want to also point out that 53%, it's not 0.53, it's 53% of our community survey respondents said they would like to see more entrepreneurial businesses and startups. This fits with the past personality of Hardy County on that list that we went through before. 44 would like to see more ag jobs, and 39% want more technology jobs. So that's just something to consider in the new stats that are coming in with this community survey. I have created demographic sheets that have information like this on them that I will put online on our website throughout this process. I just think it's really interesting bits of information that I will be using and that we will be using to formulate the plan, and I'd like to share those with you. So just keep an eye out for those. So where are we now from a development perspective? Many people don't think that Hardy County is really at risk for overdevelopment or at risk of losing the rural culture, but the data trends really show a different picture. Right now we have 2% population increase that just came out with the newest census. That's since 2010. Only 8 counties in West Virginia have seen a population increase, and the population of West Virginia is decreasing greatly as a whole. Since 2000, we have had a 13% population increase, so that's pretty significant. We've had 2,254 building permits issued for new structures since 2010, and that's with an estimate of $175 million of investment since then. We do have to consider that our building permit process is not extremely strict, so those are really low estimates because people believe that that's going to set their tax rates. So they often really underestimate the value of the construction. This is a really interesting statistic. I found this at Realtor.com that we have a 34.7% increase in home prices over the last year, and that homes are getting 2.3% over the asking price. This is actually a low number. Some of the other sites, the big real estate sites, actually listed Hardy County having as much as 54% increase in home prices over the last year. And I do know that realtors are saying that things are really moving right now, and that people are purchasing land here to enjoy, get away from the city, enjoy the natural beauty and open space, and that the new access to the corridor and the high-speed internet are just bonuses that kind of seal the deal. So when we start talking about the new development, let's take a look at the increase in the number of properties or parcels. Over the last 100 years, the number of parcels in Hardy County has increased by 275%. This highlights the subdivision rate, and it also highlights the risk to farmland and our rural landscapes. Another way to look at this is that in the past 100 years, we've gone from 7 parcels per square mile to 26 parcels per square mile. And if we continue at the same rate in another 100 years, we will have 90 parcels per square mile. And the rural qualities of our county are at risk of being lost. One interesting fact about all this information about the parcels is that 30% of the parcels in Hardy County overall belong to out-of-state owners. So this is a real illustration of how attractive our area is for second homes and recreation. So where are we now from a land use perspective? As you know, Hardy County is within 2 hours of DC, and even less than that for many of the metro areas. This close proximity to large urban population centers, along with the availability of our high-speed internet services and development of Coral H, does put Hardy County at risk for continued influx of new population and development. Many properties, as I said, are being purchased by out-of-state owners for second homes. And due to the good internet availability in Hardy County, they can telecommute and then rent their properties as short-term rentals when they're not using them. And this is really, really popular. This drives up the home prices and land prices in our area and is making homes unaffordable to a large percentage of the local population and workforce. Let's just take a little closer look at the data here on this map. So, if we look at the ownership data here, we have the blue lines are our residential subdivisions. The green are properties that are owned by folks from Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, or DC. So you can see within these subdivisions, there is a large percentage of the owners who are from Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, or DC, or even other states, the red. The gray is all the West Virginia owners. So again, I'll say 30% of the landowners in Hardy County are from other states, 24% are from DC, Virginia, Maryland, or Pennsylvania. And the location of these ownership shows how attractive our area is. The second wave of back to the earth folks that are coming from urban areas, especially now with the COVID epidemic. So where are we now from a land use perspective? The most recent community survey shows that the preservation of ag land is the most important land use development priority among those surveyed. However, as ag-centric as Hardy County is, there's relatively little prime or statewide significant agricultural soils. These are productive farmlands, and this is established by the USDA. While Hardy County does have a farmland protection program for easements, and the subdivision ordinance may act to delay or deter development, there are virtually no regulations or policies in place to protect these productive soils other than floodplain regulations. And those really don't regulate anything more than the construction standards. It doesn't limit the number of subdivisions or development in general. It's just how you build those. So let's take a look at this map. These black dots are all the building permits that we've issued from 2010 to 2020. Pretty widespread all over. And you can see how many of those are in the green. The bright green is the prime ag soils, the dark green is the statewide significant ag soils. So 34% of the 2,254 building permits that we've issued were in agricultural soils. Only 12% of those permits issued in the prime soils were clearly ag-related. In statewide significant soils, again, only 12% of the permits were for ag use. So we are using up our limited agricultural soils for things other than agriculture. So we really need to consider that as we look to our future. Snap of uses as they are now or in the recent past. This is a few years old because these maps are pretty difficult to produce, but currently we have 50% private forest land, which is the darker green, 14% public forest, 15% residential, which are these orange and pink tones, 11% undeveloped residential lots, only 8% farmland, cropland, and 2% non-residential developed, which is more urban, commercial, things like that. Do want to point out that these areas of undeveloped residential lots, which it's very widespread throughout the county. There are a lot of residential lots available. They may not be available for sale, but they are not developed. So all of those lots are still yet to have houses on them. And so once those are all filled, We're going to have a large influx of people. When we look at this, I think it's a good time to bring up the concept of highest and best use of property. That's a term you often hear in planning and development contexts. So usually people consider the highest and best use of a property use that produces the highest value, considering its potential physical uses logically and from a regulatory perspective. Of course, farmers would think active ag land is the highest and best use. Manufacturers would think manufacturing is the highest and best land use, and so on. And some maybe look at this map and think the open land and forest lands are actually wasted and should be open to any kind of development. But I want to introduce a different perspective on this. In many situations, the highest and best use of a property would be a business and industrial complex, especially if the profits of the industry are going directly into the local economy. But let's consider the fact that the demand for residential land is increasing. It's pretty great, actually, as shown earlier in the slides. And thus the value is increasing due in part to the absence of the types of commercial and industrial development that are considered highest and best use in some other areas. Let's also consider that some owners of land are finding non-traditional ways to produce income from undeveloped land, such as preservation easements, carbon credits for timberland, wetlands credits for wetland areas, and recreational areas, hunting, camping, hiking, etc. And finally, let's also look at the fact that there's a lot of vacant industrial land in Hardy County. I think we might want to look at how we can repurpose those before we start expanding the development of more intensive uses into other areas of the county. So I think going through this process, we should be considering the new economy factors such as this when determining the highest and best use for land in Hardy County. We really are a unique place, especially when looking at other counties in West Virginia. And we need to look at all these factors when we're determining what's best for our county's economy. And we may actually be surprised that what's best for the economy is also what's best for preserving the natural beauty and the rural culture here. So this is another map. This is our current comprehensive plan. This is the future land use map. This map is, it should actually answer the question that we've talked about earlier. If not here, then where? Well, the where is the pink development areas that we designated on this map. These areas are what the Planning Commission and the citizens from the past public input for the comp plan update, or actually it was for the revisions that we did. This is where they believe that development is actually appropriate. The pink areas are the development areas that were preferred. We call them preferred development areas, but it excludes the floodplain. So that's the areas shown in red. Those are definitely not preferred development areas. This map will be open to revision during this whole update process. And I just want to say that designating development areas on map has a lot of benefits. It clarifies priorities for investment in infrastructure. It offers developers a glimpse of the future as far as development patterns, and it also allows for support of preservation areas to help balance all the interests of Hardy County. So, for instance, a conservation easement of any significant size would not be likely supported by the Planning Commission if it were proposed in one of these pink development areas. And just the same, a new industrial park would not likely be supported in the areas that were designated as rural ag. Although if Hardy County doesn't choose to do this, some future land use maps in some counties actually have specific preservation areas, of higher preservation areas where, you know, it's like the highest priority for preservation, and they wouldn't support much of anything in those areas. And usually those are ecologically at-risk properties like slopes and things like that. These development areas were created, decided upon by us, considering the current zoning and development patterns, the infrastructure, current and proposed in the future, which we sometimes have a hard time getting the proposed infrastructure plans, and we're getting better about that. And again, you can, as I said, you can show preservation areas on this, and we did consider the existing preservation easements and conservation easements that are in our county when we looked at this. We wouldn't want to include areas that are already preserved in the development areas. So let's look at the public opinion currently. So where are we, the citizens, as far as public opinion goes? I really hated just to list these statistics, but our survey is still open through the October workshop. And at that time, we'll graph these statistics and make them a little more readable, but I did want to include them. They may not reflect the opinions of all citizens, but they also may not reflect your views, but the board has to look at all viewpoints. So let's take a look at what we've found so far. 50% of the 335 surveys that we've gotten so far the respondents have said that natural beauty is one of the top 3 things they value most about Hardy County. 35% said rural culture and close community was in the top 3, and 1/3 of the 333 said losing this rural culture was one of their biggest concerns for the future. 29% of the respondents chose agriculture in what they valued most, and more people chose agriculture as their #1 choice than any other. 53% of the respondents want more entrepreneurial businesses and small startups. This kind of goes in line with what I said earlier about the personality of Hardy County and the small businesses and the co-ops and things like that. 44% want to see more ag jobs and 39% want technology jobs. This is a pretty significant number here. 96% of those surveyed agree that job creation or retention is equally or less important than maintaining air, soil, and water quality. Only 3% said job creation and retention was more important than protecting the air, soil, and water quality. So I think that says something about where the people of Hardy County are. We have a really high numbers when it comes to the agriculture questions. So it's obvious that there are a lot of farmers or people who are sensitive to agriculture issues taking this survey, and still only 3% said that job retention was more important than protecting the air, soil, and water quality. 82% of the respondents believe in using land use restrictions and standards to lessen the impact and define the placement of new development. So that, again, is an illustration of what I said earlier about how the people of Hardy County have come to expect and respect land use planning, unlike most counties in West Virginia. I also want to say that the respondents of this survey have come in from all age groups. We have a really good widespread age group that are responding to the survey, and they're coming from all over the county. So it's not just coming from one area. We were very happy to see a wide range of locations from these surveys. So, having looked at all that, let's consider those survey results and talk about where we want to go. So even though the current comp plan does not include a formal vision statement, most plans do include one, we want to establish one for the new plan. A vision statement can be used in ordinances, advertising campaigns, etc. It's just a brief statement about who we are and where we want to go in the future. So I have actually created a website for you all if you want to participate in the drafting of the vision statement. It does take a lot of time because it's really kind of a thoughtful process, and people like to do this on their own. So I didn't want to do this in a workshop. It can take a lot of time, and it's just it puts pressure on people. So I created a website that is listed here, which you can visit and propose a vision statement. And on that website, it actually guides you through the process. It talks about how the key to finding the vision statement is to summarize who you are as a community, where you're going. It should be short, 2 to 3 sentences. You want your vision to be positive, realistic, and accurate. And a vision is broad, but also specific, like what makes this place unique, who are you as a community, and who do you want to be in the future. There are actually examples and kind of a little template on that website that you can use to write a statement. The staff, Nicole and I, along with the board, will be creating some versions of this vision, and we'll take into account survey responses and public input on that. But we will draft some responses to present at the next workshop. Maybe I'll do something like let you vote on those, or we can tweak those at that time. Next thing is the goals. We need to draft pertinent and attainable goals. It's really the key to a good comp plan that can actually be implemented. The main point of tonight's exercise is to collect information that will help us draft appropriate goals for economy and land use sections. So the goals will be established in the plan for each of the chapters, as we talked about before. Jobs, economy, quality of life, transportation, mobility, housing, infrastructure, environment, recreation, education, governments, ag and rural life, and land use. So in order to give you some context and to give you some examples, I wanted to list the current goals. This is from the current comprehensive plan that's in place right now. And I picked, this is not all of the chapters, the topics, but I picked the topics that I think relate to tonight's workshop. So those current goals are for the economy is to support policies that create an environment conducive to a strong and diverse regional economy while acting as stewards of our existing resources. The land use goal is for Hardy County to promote logical, efficient, and well-organized, sustainable land use patterns that protect natural and historic resources along with the cultural, agricultural-based lifestyle. This while supporting economic growth and improving the quality of life for our community, as stated in the goals listed in each section of this plan. The goal for agriculture is to identify key issues and support policies that ensure a balance of productive agriculture and rural land in Hardy County is maintained and protected in all current and future development decisions. This is both for the economy and cultural good of the county. And the community design goal is to identify and implement guidelines for construction, infrastructure, and landscape design that improves and enhances the rural look, feel, and historical context of the county's existing character. So those are, long and broad, and we put a lot of thought into these for the new plan, and we may just revise these. I'm sure we will take at least some components from these existing goals as we move forward. And finally, what we're going to want to do is establish some strategies for actions that can be used to meet the goals. This is one of the hardest steps of the comp plan, and one of the ways that the public can really help. You all have knowledge about your own organization or industry, and you know what you can do to what you have to offer to help the county meet their goals. So I really encourage you to be, creative and think out the box on these strategies and really get some help on these. In West Virginia, the county government, in particular in planning, has very little real power other than the regulatory stick. When we talk about, planning and zoning, there's the stick and then there's the carrot, which encourages behavior. We don't have a lot of carrots that we can offer in local government in West Virginia. And so we need active participation from other organizations to successfully implement many of the goals. This is why we have asked for your ideas and how we can accomplish things. So please, like I said, be creative, think out of the box, kind of anything goes. To give an example of this would be a strategy might be to work with local industries to allow public input for mitigation efforts that speak directly to the impacts of large projects. So this could be something like, creating an interactive wind energy educational facility for a utility wind project, almost like a tourist attraction, or requiring solar panels on the roofs of large commercial structures to reduce land use in our area for new utility solar projects. Just things like that. So please help us with this, and like I said, be creative. So now we're going to take a look at the exercise responses. I think I'm just going to have you all go through your answers individually. But quickly, before we do that, I just want to get through the rest of these slides so we don't have to come back to this at the end. I just wanted to briefly review the process and the timeline for this project. So the community survey is open now through October. We have 2 public workshops, September and October, hopefully. That's going on right now. I'll start drafting the plan. As soon as I get enough input to do so, I'll start on the chapters. I'm already doing a little bit on the intro and things like that. I'll be doing that the fall through the winter of 2022. The Planning Commission meetings will be monthly, where we'll be discussing the issues and sections that I've completed. Public open house with the full draft of the plan will be presented winter, probably spring 2020. We will incorporate the final revisions that come from the public for that right after that, and then we'll start the public hearings, which will be the Planning Commission public hearing, and then the County Commission public hearing for adoption. And we can't really put a timeline on that because we don't know how many times it'll be sent back to the Planning Commission. So I'm just saying, as soon as possible in 2022, we'll get this plan adopted. So let's take a look at your surveys. I just wanted to leave you with my favorite quote to think of me applying to planning. I actually have this hanging in my office. It's not about what it is, it's about what it can become. I think this is really important to say because I don't think everyone considers that this process is not just about immediate results for a particular issue, but rather it's about the overall future direction of development in Hardy County. We're at a turning point right now, and I hope in 50 years, when the next generation looks back, they'll say, thank goodness they did XYZ in 2021. Just like we now say about the leadership from 1966, thank goodness they created the Planning Commission. And then in 1993, when the volunteer citizens sacrificed an enormous amount of time and energy to write the new comp plan, zoning ordinance, and subdivision ordinance. And real quickly, I'd just like to recognize one of those people from 93. He's one of our county commissioners now, Dave Workman. Thanks, Dave, to all the work that you put into getting our zoning ordinance back. And thanks to the extension office of those days past and the citizens who fought to keep this county the way it is through zoning, using the tools that are available for local planning. So I know it hasn't been easy. So now on to the future, and let's talk about our exercises.
Okay, so there's a lot more people on this call than had originally registered, so I had a plan of the way we were going to do this, and people have come in at the last minute. So I'm not exactly sure what the best way is to do this. We only had a few responses by the time we asked for them in, but we didn't want to prevent anyone from participating. I don't think that's right. So we went ahead and accepted those through 5 minutes before the meeting started. So there's no way that I could put these together and like I had planned to do into categories. So what I would like to do is I'm going to unmute you all, I hope, and kind of open this up and let whoever would like to talk about their responses talk about that. I'll try to guide the order of them. The first people that submitted their responses, I think probably should be able to speak first. And that is, I believe Michael Sullivan is going to speak for several participants that are from the poultry industry. And so I will let you do that. Let's see, I'm going to try to find which one is you, Michael. Hold on a minute here. I don't know which one's him. My unmute button is, there it is. I'm not able to I'm not able to unmute you all. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not sure why I have lost my ability to unmute you all, but give me a moment here.
Melissa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I unmuted myself, so if each person would unmute, maybe they could speak.
Okay. Okay, I wasn't sure they were able to do that. Thank you for pointing that out, Charlotte. So, Michael, are you there? Can you unmute yourself and speak to us? Maybe not.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can hear you now. So,
All right.
So thanks for coming to the meeting, and thanks for being one of the first people to submit your survey. So,
Hey, hey, we're happy to participate. Just for time purposes, I'm not going to go through, every one of those questions if that's okay with the group. But during that presentation, I noted down some pretty good notes that I'd like to go over for the group, and just a little history on Pilgrims in general. So Pilgrims, we operate in 14 states, and this complex in particular is the most difficult to develop for poultry housing. If you look outside and see the mountains outside, you'll know why. It's expensive to excavate, and the flatter regions of our county are in the flood zone, which we can't build in. So it's pretty difficult to build poultry houses here. We're smack dab in the middle of our own economic growth. We provide financing up anywhere from 30 to 50% into current existing housing and into new housing. And that's feeding that local agriculture. And I want to bring up a pretty substantial number. Poultry makes up 140 million of that 190 million of that agriculture economic impact. That's 74%. So that's a pretty huge number for us. One of our greatest fears was the Berkeley Group's recommendation or the proposal. It would basically enable us to not build any more new housing, which is it's a pretty big number for us because we employ over 1,700 people at this facility, and our ability to operate is crucial on the grow out section and on the plant section. You can't have one without the other. So those are some of my talking points. Our current building standards are more stringent than the current ordinance, and we try to be good neighbors as best as we can. So, that's really my message. We donated up to today, just in the Hometown Strong program as a company, over $900,000 in this county, and we believe in the county. We give back as much as we can, as much fundraisers as we can. And one thing to bring up is when Pilgrims went through a bankruptcy, in the late 2000s, it cut out a lot of that ability to do that. And we love this community. Every visitor that we have that comes to this site, 9 times out of 10 they tell us it's their favorite place to come because it's so pretty. So that's really my message for the group. I appreciate the support of the Hardy County Planning Committee and what they've been able to do during this comprehensive plan, and we appreciate their time because it's time out of their family lives. And I'll wrap it up and thank you.
All right. I thought there were some good points in your exercise, and what I will do is I'm going to put all the answers to these exercises that you all submitted. I'll put them in a spreadsheet so we won't know who said what, but we will have a list of all of the responses that you can look at, and I'll try to get those out online probably next week. So let's see. I think probably Betsy, you were probably the next person to submit, I believe. Can you unmute yourself, and if you want to share a little bit about your responses, and if you don't, just say so. That's fine.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, because I'm tech challenged as well. So I'm going to try to do.
Are there any of your responses that you wanted to talk about, or do you want me to bring up some of the things that you said? And
I'm good either way. What I had put down was I would like to see more of a diverse
I
economy.
think we just lost us.
Oops.
It's trying to reconnect.
Yeah, and it is us. See the red or no?
It's definitely something to do with our connection. It may
We
be
can
everyone's
hear you.
connection.
I can hear you,
We can hear you.
but you're all frozen on the screen.
Well, if I
I think we lost them.
yes, for some reason you lost us. I'm back. Thank goodness that you're all still here. Is everyone hear us?
Yes, we hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay,
I can hear
don't know
you.
what- we lost our connection here at the courthouse for a moment, but I had to leave the meeting and come back. So let me get things set up here again. But Betsy, if you want to go ahead and talk about some of your answers, that would be great.
Okay, some of my answers were looking at for a more diverse economy, looking at perhaps some cleaner types of businesses, wind farms, solar fields, some of the things that were mentioned in the presentation, supportive of a diverse economy, because if we have some struggles or concerns in one area, we have a broad base that the county keeps moving forward. Concern for adequate and available housing. You had also mentioned that we have a need for that for the workers who are working here in the county. Talked about there are some health concerns sometimes with different businesses going in. Those could be looked at. And having the outside appearance of a structure to blend in. Finding out some type of way that when we talk about our culture, we have a great culture here, but people coming in, I don't know how you acclimate them to culture, but that's an important thing. And I kind of talked about the county and municipalities and folks working together on areas of mutual concern like stormwater, and those sorts of things. Stormwater, floodplains, those are all aspects that affect us. Some other things that I see coming our way, we kind of mentioned the short-term rentals. Tourism is definitely an upswing. That's about it.
Okay. That's great. There's a couple of things that I was looking at. I'm happy that you brought up the communication between towns and the county. That's something that we definitely want to work on. And the diverse economy. Everyone has mentioned that, how we need to diversify. So thanks for that, Betsy.
You're welcome.
Ward, are you on the call? Malcolm? No, that's unfortunate because Ward had some really good, he had some really good input. So, Ward, are you on there? If you are, can you unmute yourself?
It was earlier. I just.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying to. Bear with me just a second here. Okay. You see, Ward, are you on there? No, Ward is not on there. I will go over a few things from Ward. Ward Malcolm, he agreed that we need to consider agriculture in our community, you know, as one of the main economic drivers, continue to do that. He made a really good point that I've seen in a few of these, whenever we were talking about what does natural beauty look like, he said that farmers are actually very good stewards of our land. And I think that's true. I think that local farmers who've been here for a long time, they do a really good job at using, you know, best practices, and they've gone to a lot of effort to, when there were compromised streams in the area, they've taken measures to clean those up. They've done a lot of really good things. And Ward had a concern about how losing, if we have a lot of tourists and have tourist destinations here, he's worried about the losing our small town feel, which I think, you know, that's something that we all worry about too. So I think that's some points from Ward. If anyone has any comments on that, does anyone have any comments on anything so far?
This is Michelle from the Hardy County Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I understand the concern about tourism venues, but I think that one of the things that Hardy County has that a lot of other places don't have are outdoor recreation opportunities that are already here, and they don't challenge the farmland. They work with the farmers as good stewards of the land. So that's all I want to say about tourism right now.
Okay. Well, since you're on there, Michelle, do you want to talk about put you on the spot here? Talk about any of your answers?
Well, I wish I had them right in front of me right now.
I'm sorry, I was hoping you would.
Well, I can have them here in a second. Here we go. To see economic growth in the county, I think the most important thing is development of entrepreneurial opportunities, and in doing that, we have an improvement of the quality of life for our residents, opportunities to train young people and retrain adults who are entering a second career. Developing tourism assets gives us the opportunity to do that. Our proximity to major population centers can't be ignored. And I watch other counties around us growing exponentially. Tucker County and Pocahontas County, Randolph County, they have significant tourism assets. We're not ever going to be able to compete with that. But what we do have are some really special things. The George Washington National Forest and the Lost River State Park and the development of a heritage trail and different things that are going to, that make a difference here in the county. And I think they need to be looked at as assets to the county's economy and not as challenges to the rural nature of the county.
Yeah, I noticed on the one about what does the natural beauty look like, you actually also commented how you believe farmers are actually really good stewards of the land. So
I do. I can't imagine anybody driving into Hardy County and driving down South Fork or South Branch or Lost River Valleys and not appreciating the beauty of the area, not just because of the mountains that are there, but those farmland valleys are absolutely beautiful. And it's such an important connection to lives of people when they leave here. I mean, their food has to come from somewhere, and it comes from places like this. When they stop for a chicken sandwich someplace, it comes from places like this, and I think that you can't you can't enter Hardy County and not appreciate what it is that you're seeing.
Absolutely. I really liked your answer about the what does the rural culture look like? Would you mind telling the group what you had said there and talk a little bit about that?
Well, I've been thinking a lot about it because of the Crossroads exhibition that we've got up right now, and the months and months and months of preparation for it. But I do really think that there's a highly romanticized vision of what a rural farm community is, and words like rural charm and small town feel are part of that dialogue. And I think that guests see no traffic, open spaces, different kind of shopping experiences, small businesses, a safe environment, and I think that's what makes it rural, but it's not really at all. I do think that it means recognizing the value of the sense of place, this place that we live in, home, family, friends, the land, the character of the people. And when people stay here for just a few days, they have the opportunity to begin an understanding of that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Thanks for all that, Michelle. Really appreciate that perspective. Anything else that you'd like to add to that?
I completely agree with the idea of diversifying the economy, and I definitely agree with the need to train experienced tradesmen. I mean, try and get some electrical work done or some plumbing work done or anything right now, and it's impossible. And we really, really, really need trained tradesmen to do this work. It's good paying work, it's steady work, and we need to look at the importance of that within our education system. And I also think that learning to work together is critical, recognizing that new ideas are not necessarily threatening what it is that you already do. And I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you teach that kind of respect for others, for the land, for the environment. I think it's something that has to evolve. But I think it's very important to preserving what we hold as very valuable, and that's our home, this county.
Yeah, I think, Hardy County was fortunate for decades, even centuries, to have, where all their neighbors were their family and their friends, and they, there was already a respect there. And with new people moving in with different values, different standards, it's more challenging.
Right, and it's difficult to get to a point where you can come to a happy medium, where you can understand the other person's perspective as well as recognizing the value of your own, and not compromising values, but compromising perspectives so that you can move forward.
Right. Thank you, Michelle. Is there anything else you wanted to say about? I think you covered most of your great answers.
No, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Daryl, are you on there? See?
Yes, good evening.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm very well. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sorry I was a little bit late, but I was able to get logged in. I'm representing the West Virginia Poultry Association, and I'd like to, just compliment on some of the other comments that have been made from Michael and Betsy and some of the others. But looking at the survey and where we are as an agriculture, I'd like to just share with the group that we have 6 poultry integrators that does business in Hardy counties. They might not be here producing their product, but they are looking to our Hardy County farmers to raise their product. And so, that's something that's I feel from our industry is very critical and does help support the local economy. A couple of things that I really highlighted in the survey is that one, that the agriculture is very important to Hardy County. I think this past year with the pandemic, it showed how much the food industry is a vital and essential to the economy. When other industries were struggling to stay open, our poultry industry was able to continue and stay open and to feed feed America. And so I think Hardy County with our poultry industry is contributing a lot to that. Also, the thing I would like to caution us on with a future plan is not bringing in or being conscientious how much urban thought process we bring in as far as ordinances. I know some of our neighboring counties have brought ordinances that they felt were best practices coming into the county that have caused some struggle in housing, building. And I'm not just talking about poultry housing. I'm looking at the housing industry itself with some of those guidelines that has made it tough for individuals with permitting to be able to comply with some of those what they felt was best practice ordinances. One of the other things I think has helped us with our beauty is, our farmers and producers in agriculture have been good stewards of the land. A lot of that has come through good nutrient management plans that has maintained the rivers being clean. We've heard out of the metropolitan areas that our rivers have fish that are sick. Well, what's interesting, you can go up on the South Fork where I have a camper and I can see minnows continuing to thrive each year and fish that are healthy. And the streams are just, it's something we need to continue to be proud of.
Yeah, I just want to add real quick there that, we have really done a lot through the DEP. I mean, they're praising us for all of the actions that the farmers are taking to clean up, the waterways. We've met, I think, all of the goals that they have set for us for the last 10 years? Greg, do you remember the 10?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're way ahead of any of the other surrounding states.
Yeah.
And that's a lot to be said for the Hardy County farmers.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Thank you for bringing that up. In fact, that was, mentioned by the West Virginia Department of Ag during the poultry convention, is that we are surpassed our nutrient prevention management plans that has compared to some of our neighboring states. So that is very, very good for us. And lastly, let me just say, living here, that you can walk down the town of Moorfield, Wardensville, and feel safe. And we can continue to feel safe and walk in the streets. It just, that hometown feeling is great. And in closing, I never thought I would be back to Moorfield to retire, but my wife and I I've had the opportunity to live in Maryland, North Carolina, Virginia, but coming back to Moorfield and living here, it's just so comforting. So thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts.
Sure. I just had a couple of questions for you to help me better understand. When you talk about don't allow the urban influences, can you talk to me a little bit about what you mean with that, so I can document that and so I can keep it in mind?
Sure. And I won't name that. Well, I will. I know in Hampshire County, in personally working with a family member and building a a new home, some of the guidelines and the number of permits that they had to go through, and it's not just, you know, for for a well or for a or septic, etc., but like electrical permitting. I mean, the hoops that had to be jumped through for having the home inspection, etc. So I think those are things we just got to be conscientious, and a lot of those thoughts were coming out of Northern Virginia. Some of those what they felt was best practices.
Yeah, that's actually it's the West Virginia State Building Code that they have, and it's I'll just interject here. That there are the reasons for those. That's not really a zoning. That's the building, you know, the building permit process and building inspection process is a different ordinance. But there are a lot of issues with poor building, and in our stakeholder meetings, it came up over and over in all of the groups. Pretty much every one of the stakeholder groups wanted us to look at adopting the building code. So that's just the flip side of that. Even the contractors here were asking us to please adopt the building code because the ones that want to build to code, which is safety. West Virginia hasn't adopted the latest codes, which is more like the Northern Virginia, installing sprinkler systems in residential homes and things like that. The West Virginia tries to keep it a little more logical than that, but and reasonable. But we have a lot of complaints in our office about poor building that's gone on in this county for 30 years. And, you know, banks aren't really wanting to lend money for homes that they don't know the quality of the construction. So, and insurance companies are starting to have issues with that as well. Without inspections, if no one is inspecting the process throughout, they don't know what's inside the walls when it's done. So they're really, the banks and insurance companies probably eventually are going to, you know, force localities into that. So I just wanted to bring that to the table, that there's another perspective on that's been brought forth in this public input process. So, all right, let's see. I'm trying to kind of take these in order of who submitted to us first, so they can have their say. The Ward's not here.
Hey, Melissa.
Yeah.
Melissa, this is Michael. Just
Okay.
anybody that's having trouble with the mute button, if you'll hit *6 before you jump on, that'll unmute you.
Yeah, thanks. Did you want to say anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I just know we're struggling with technology right now.
All right. But thanks for that little tip, because there are some people on here that are on the phone. I didn't even consider that. Okay. Steve Pendleton, are you on the call? Steve, are you with us? All right. I don't think Steve is there. Not sure if he was here at all, but I haven't heard an email from him or anything that he didn't get in. So, Bob, we got yours. Your responses. Would you like to talk about your responses?
How many Bobs have you got?
Oh, Bob
Hello.
Nicely. Bob Nicely.
Okay, sure. Hi, this is Bob Nicely. I showed up on the deed books in Moorfield on October 9th of 1968. So I've had a home in Hardy County since that time. And I agree with what's been said about agriculture and poultry. But what's interesting to me is Dave Rudich, a realtor, said that property is only on the market for about a week now. And I think that, well, there's an industrial park someplace east of Moorfield, right? Which is not exactly filling up. So when I look at the world of the future, apart from where we are with agriculture and poultry and stuff, what I see is the number of people that are able to work from home wherever home may be, at least several days a week. And so I think that's an increasing crowd. And what that does is it provides economic incentive, as has been noted, for more electricians and plumbers and building contractors, stuff like that. And also, I think that turns into an area of growth. We can thank HardyTel for the excellent internet service. I'm not there now, but I've got 5G up at my place, and it's up 2 miles of dirt road. So I think that a focus to some degree on the movement away from the metropolitan areas, not just for vacation time, but for work time, that also leads one to want to put more money into schools, not only for the trades, but also for the folks that would like to have kids in the schools. And it leads us to look at some of the limitations, like medical care in Hardy County. I've got friends that have moved away because they had to go either to Harrisonburg or Winchester for medical help in case of emergency. Of course, you could go to Petersburg, but it's not the same. And so I'm just seeing a future that involves future for Hardy County that reflects the future that they've seen in San Francisco and other places where the internet is providing opportunities for economic growth and growth in the population as well. We're seeing that growth. I think the last time I knew, the Guest House was one of the top favorite restaurants in West Virginia. So not to denigrate anything that's already there, but in terms of industry, I could see us possibly getting some workspaces like WeWork, and it raises questions like, can we have satellite libraries where books could be delivered and where people could work on computers? And one of the things that has been suggested before is that one way to help protect the edges of the rivers and the streams is by trying to put in walking paths or bike paths along the water, which would be another tourist attraction. And I'm going to stop there because I always talk too much.
No, I thank you for that. I think that's a great idea about the trails. The Greenbrier River Trail is a good example of that and how that's really worked.
Well, doing it along the water, doing it along the water is also a very attractive sort of thing. Mountain trails, one thing, but for some of the older people coming in, having nice flat trails along streams, we'll have it. Right. Count me in that crew.
Right.
And you've got the rest of my comments there.
Yes, I do. I was just kind of looking through those to see what I had pulled out of yours. The building trades is definitely a point that we see often, and it's very true. I think.
Well, we used to say that West Virginia's biggest export was young people, and we need to try to stop that from happening so much, and that helps to preserve the culture and the rural nature if we can keep more of those young people here. And to do that, we've got to get jobs that are decent paying jobs that they can do, and some of that's college and some of it's trades, and that's just the way it is.
Right. Absolutely. Does anybody have anything they want to say about Bob's or any other comments? The only other paper response that I have here is from Kirk Wilson, and he was trying to get in, and I sent him another link shortly. I mean, a bit ago. Kirk, did you ever get into the meeting? Are you there? Guess he did not.
Kirk, Tim, and Larkin.
Yeah, I believe that Larkin and
Tim Colors.
Tim Colors, you were letting. Did you want to speak too? I was told earlier that Mr. Sullivan was going to speak for all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just wanted to give you a chance.
Can I come back in one real quick?
Sure.
one of the ways to try to preserve the rural nature of Hardy County is to keep working with land trusts to preserve the forest and land the way it is, which still allows for timber cuts and has tax advantages and so forth and so on. Doesn't affect the agricultural world at all. But when I drive up and down 259, I love looking at the forests. And we don't want to pave paradise and put up a parking lot. So we need to be trying to protect the forests, and one way is through land trust work.
Right. Right. No. Did anyone else say something?
The hunt clubs and all that stuff.
Right. Was someone else saying something? Melly, do you have any comments? Do you want to say anything? Maybe she's left us. I don't know. So I'll just kind of open it up. You know, I don't have any more participants who've actually submitted their exercise papers. If anyone else wants to do that after the fact, I would appreciate it. That's a really good way to provide us with your input. But does anyone else have any comments? All right, Greg, we have any of the planning commissioners have anything they want to say?
Yeah, Lee, you're online. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
I'd just like to say that, you know, this is not the end of the times to be able to make these comments. You know, it's going to be a kind of a long time process, and, you know, these ideas will be considered right up to the very end. So, you know, any new thoughts that any of the participants have had, you know, in my opinion, you're welcome to participate, you know, all along the way. So that's my only comment.
Right. We have a lot of opportunity, and we'll just take general comments in writing, or stop in and talk to us. Call us first and make an appointment and come in, and we can just sit down and chat.
Yep.
I've already, you know, I've heard some great ones here this evening. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Lee. Charlotte, are you still online? You have
Yes,
anything
I'm here.
You have anything you'd like to say?
No, I'm just making some notes on all these comments we're receiving, and I think it'll be good when we are able to get back together and compile all of this information. Been some really interesting things brought up.
Great. Charlotte's a member of the Planning Commission as well. Roger Seville and Tim Wilkins are both here in person. Do either of you have anything that you'd like to add, or any statements or any questions you'd like to make?
Just that I'm really impressed by the turnout of the participants in the meeting. It's really
Right.
really really nice to see the community take part in this.
I'm not sure you all could hear, but what Mr. Roger had to say is he really appreciated the participation and the turnout to the meeting, and he was really glad to hear the presentations and things that were presented this evening. So, and Tim didn't have anything to say, but he was sure taking it in and paying attention. So that was very appreciative.
Greg,
And,
Michelle.
Yes.
Yes.
Could I add something? I want to do a plug for the map exhibition at the college for people to look at the changes in population density and land use from the 18th century to 2021. And the exhibition will be up at the college until the 30th of September, and they're open long hours on weekdays. So I suggest you get a chance to see it. And the Crossroads exhibition at Moorfield High School is open Tuesday night and Thursday night and Saturday and Sunday until the end of September. And it also deals with what it means to live in a rural countryside, and what that word means and how land is used, and very interesting and very apropos to the conversation we've been having tonight.
And we appreciate that input, Michelle, and thank you, and thank the CVB for all that you do and all the participation. We appreciate that.
Yes, she wanted me to make it mandatory that the planning commission go see the map exhibit. So I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's an excellent idea.
Just out of curiosity for the donut boy here, do you furnish donuts and coffee if I come out?
You'll have to talk to Dr. Striplin about that because I'm not on campus.
Okay, I might have a little input with that, right?
Right.
Okay. I wanted to ask, I thought I saw Commissioner Sheetram on there as a participant. Steve, if you're there, would you like to make any comments? Okay, you may not be there or may not be online at this time.
Yeah.
I thought I'd seen your name listed there.
Oh, yeah.
You're listed there on it as a guest. You're muted. You'll have to unmute yourself. Are you still there, Steve, or can you hear us? Okay. Undoubtedly, he may not be able to get connected or get on, but we do appreciate his participation. Steve serves as the county commission representative on the planning commission, which obviously gives us some, some good cooperation with the planning and the county working together. That's it.
Robert.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Sorry, Robert. I missed you. Robert.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. That was nice to get hear the different perspectives. And Melissa, great job. I know it's a lot of work pulling this off on short notice. You've done well.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's done an excellent job. We need to commend her very greatly for that.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to use this in the future, which will be handy.
Oh, yeah, and I concur with Lee. I mean, this is the beginning of the process. We have a long way to go, and we certainly want to hear the input from anyone at any time. So by all means, reach out to us, send us your thoughts, and give us a call or stop us if you see us on the street and talk to us. We will be more than happy to listen to any of the input and any thoughts that you have. Because, this is a projected 10-year plan. We want to get all the information. It is our intent of the planning commission to do it, is the best we can. And so the more input that we have from different age groups and different locations within the county and different organizations, and it's not restricted to just one individual. I mean, if you belong to, for instance, the Lions clubs and the different communities or any other civic organization, reach out to us. Give us your thoughts.
And if you have, any kind of Ruritan meetings or anything like that, and you'd like me to come and give a short presentation, I'm not going to promise that I'll have time to do that, but but I can consider it, and I would like to be able to do it.
And as Melissa said, there will be a second input session. We haven't scheduled the date. We are tentatively going to talk about that here shortly with the Planning Commission. We are looking at the 19th of October as a tentative date, but we will have to actually take an action on that when this meeting is over. But you probably can count that as being pretty close to being the accurate date we'll use. And as she said, go online and look at Code 8A. If you wish to, you can go to the state and take a look at that ordinance and read it, and you can see the complexity that it will take in order to make these modifications and get them enforced. So get a chance. It's an interesting reading. It's not a simple process, and we would be glad for your to attend our public meetings. We meet monthly, the first Tuesday of each month at 6 o'clock in the planning office in the basement. You're always welcome. Of course, with COVID, we're not sure how that may affect us, and we may have to make some changes and reconsiderations, but for now, we're still meeting, and I guess everything is as it has been.
And if this works fine for everyone, we may consider doing this again. This has been, I mean, we had a few bumps, but I think we've worked them out.
Yeah.
Do you have donuts at your meetings?
No, unfortunately, back,
I didn't hear, what was the
you
question?
asked if we were donuts at the meeting.
Oh, donates at the meeting. Were you offering? I misunderstood.
Back when J.R. Keplinger was on the board, he brought pizza sometimes, but never donuts.
You're the donut man.
No, it is. I want to commend the planning commission and the members. I tell you, they spend a lot of hours and a lot of time over the years, and it's not always an easy task. There's a lot of hard choices, and they really tried to look at all of the information they received before decisions are made. And it is a complex project, and it is our intent to try to listen to everybody. And we're aware that we're not going to probably make everybody 100% happy, but we will obviously try to listen and to the input and make, good decisions. And don't ever feel that you can't criticize us, because you can. I mean, we are happy to listen to what you think we're doing wrong, as well as what you think we're doing right. So we appreciate that. Do you have anything else? Any of the planning commission members here or online that you want to add or say before?
I don't, Greg.
Okay. Any of the others? Roger, Tim, Robert, any of you? Charlotte?
I would just like to remind everybody to please check the website. I will put up information. I'll always be putting information on there. So I'll probably put the presentation separate from this whole long recording. I hope that I can put this full recording on the website, but it will be available to people who were able to come. They can come into the commission room here if they set up a time and watch the meeting, if nothing else, if they don't have access to internet. And for the survey, if anyone needs paper surveys, I have printed many. I'll be handing them out to some of the planning commissioners. If you know people who can't take that survey online, we do have them on paper. And again, just check the website. I will put the link for helping us with the vision statement on there if you'd like to contribute any information on that. And I will just always be putting new things on there as this process goes along.
And we would encourage you, if you have not been on the planning website, to take a few minutes sometime and look. There's a lot of really good information on there. There's a lot of good information on the county's website for the different county organizations, including the RDA and of course the Planning Commission. You have the PSD that's listed on there, but it's a good site to go visit and see what the county has available to you. So do you have anything else that you need to add? If not, then we will certainly say thank you to all of you for participating. We will look forward to seeing you at a future date, and don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have other thoughts. So with that, unless someone has something, we will conclude this presentation, and we'll look forward to seeing you the next time. Thank you very much. Planning Commission members, if you can call in if you like, we need to have a real short Planning Commission meeting.
They can stay on here.
Okay, stay on here if you like then.
Yeah, and then people who don't want to stay can leave. It's
right.
It's a public meeting if they want to stay on here and listen to us
talk
talk about
it. You're welcome to
stay
stay if you like. By all means.
If you haven't had your vaccination, please do so.
There you go. Good advice.
Yes.
Okay, so we can all get out of here. I know Melissa has a distance to go to get home, so I don't want to hold her up. We'll go ahead and call the regular meeting of the Hardy County Planning Commission to order. We will suspend with the normalcies of the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting and the reports of the previous meetings due to the lack of time. We'll ask if there are anything from the Planning Commission members that they need to bring forth that we need to deal with at this time, and or anything from Melissa that she needs to bring forth to us to consider, for instance, the date of the next meeting.
That's all I have. I've spent a lot of hours in the last couple of weeks working on this and getting all this information ready. So I'm not working on anything but this right now, the comp plan update. So yes, what's top of my priority list is picking a date for the next workshop.
So you're going to recommend
19th is the 19th the
That's-
date we want to shoot for?
That's what I was going to ask her. Is the 19th the date that you would want to shoot for? If indeed that is, then we would certainly entertain a motion that we would adopt that as the next date for the next public input meeting.
If no one knows of anything else going on in the community that time. Greg, you have a calendar of a lot of that kind of stuff. Look and see if there's anything else going on.
Okay, 19th. I don't have anything shown on the 19th. There is nothing that I see. Anyone aware of anything? Any of the members aware of anything?
I checked the calendar and I'm good, but I'm not aware of anything else.
Okay, good. Roger, Tim, you all aware of anything?
No.
Okay. Would one of you care to make a motion that we would adopt that as the next date?
That's the move.
Okay, Roger makes the motion that we would adopt the 19th as the next planning commission meeting, and Tim seconded it.
Is that I just want to clarify, is that the planning commission meeting, or are we going to have a meeting go ahead and have our meeting and then have this as well?
In both, like we did this time.
Okay, so this will be called the workshop then, just for the motion.
Right. Is that okay with you, Lee?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
we'll change the date of the regular meeting from the first Tuesday to the 19th of October.
Oh, that's what I was saying.
Right.
I'm recommending that we have a I don't know. I would recommend that we still have our meeting
On the,
on the 5th.
okay,
And then have, just have a meeting to adopt the minutes and,
Okay.
Do some things and then have this workshop as well, if that's okay.
okay. If
Yes,
that-
that's
okay,
okay.
so we will
Yeah.
say that the motion you made then is to have the next workshop on the 19th. Is that correct, Raj?
Yes,
And Tim, you're okay with that as a second then? So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented to have the next workshop on the evening of the 19th. Location, I suspect, will be here.
We'll have to see that and, it'll be, I don't know.
Okay,
I mean-
location may be decided, but we'll let everyone know, of course, in advance as much time as we can. So no additional discussion, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Motion passes. Okay. Anybody have any other business that we need to bring to the good of the organization? If that's said, we'll need a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Tim made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roger seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None. Motion passes.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Melissa. That was great.
Oh, thank you. I hope it wasn't too long.
Sound
Good
quality,
job, everyone.
I was able to hear everything.
Well, good. Good.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
everyone.
I'll see y'all.
Good night. Be safe.
Good night.